Welcome to the Odyssey Sports Fantasy Football Show. I'm Chris Emma, alongside my colleagues Jordan Cohn and Jesse Pantusco. Week 2 of the football season is here, boys, so let's get right to it. Try that again. It's week 2. We're going to get right to our waiver wire pickups, our stream team, and our stealthy start. I'm going to start us off here, boys. Waiver wire pickup. I'm going to go down to the desert. I'm going to go to Christian Kirk of the Arizona Cardinals. 5 targets, 5 catches, 70 yards, and a touchdown. We know there's going to be volume in that Cliff Kingsbury offense. Kyler Murray looked exceptional in the week 1 debut. I think it's going to continue. I think Christian Kirk is somebody you could be investing in. Jordan, who's your waiver wire guy?
I agree with you on Kirk. I featured him in our weekly Odyssey waiver wire pickups article. I also featured this guy, Kenneth Gainwell, on the Eagles. Kenny had a great NFL debut. He looked to cement a role right away in the Eagles offense, and he did just that. He got the sole work in the 2-minute drill at the end of the first half, and he looked really great in doing so. He vultured a Miles Sanders touchdown later in the game after Sanders did most of the heavy lifting on the drive. And Boston Scott did not get a single touch, so it looks like he's completely superseded him in the pecking order. If he keeps a similar role going forward, he had 11 touches this week, then he should warrant weekly flex consideration. And he's not even a bad play in week 2 either. The Eagles play against the 49ers, and that defense allowed 16 receptions, 121 yards, and a touchdown to Lions running backs out of the backfield. Gainwell, as the primary pass catcher, should do pretty well considering those numbers against the Niners in week 2.
Jesse, who are you looking for on the waiver wires this week?
Well, I'm running out of Elijahs here, guys. Last week I went with Jets receiver Elijah Moore as my top waiver pickup, and this week I'm going with another Elijah, 49ers running back Elijah Mitchell. I'll be honest with you, I didn't know who Elijah Mitchell was until about 1:30 Sunday afternoon, which is around the time Raheem Mostert left week 1 with a knee injury. Apparently I wasn't the only one, as Mitchell is owned in less than 2% of ESPN leagues, a number I expect to skyrocket after the rookie's dominant performance against Detroit, rushing for 104 yards in his NFL debut. In fact, only Cincinnati's Joe Mixon rushed for more yards in week 1. Most expected Ohio State's Trey Sermon to emerge as the Niners' RB2 this season, but after a quiet training camp, he was surprisingly a healthy scratch in week 1. Coach Kyle Shanahan covets speed, and Mitchell has plenty of that, blazing a ridiculous 4.35 at his Louisiana Pro Day. With Mostert lost for the foreseeable future, he's reportedly facing an 8-week absence. Mitchell has suddenly become the back to own in San Francisco.
All right, time now for our stream team, and I will start with the quarterback, and I cannot believe I'm doing it, boys. Jameis Winston of the New Orleans Saints. When you throw for 5 touchdowns, you get my attention. When you do it in that Sean Payton system, you really get my attention. I was not buying the Jameis fit in New Orleans. I am now. He's only rostered in 44% of leagues. He's going to be available to make a big impact. He looks like he could be one of those top quarterbacks. I can't believe I'm saying it. I didn't see any of this coming, but I'm willing to buy in. All right, Jesse, let's keep the stream team going. You have our tight end pick. Who is your guy this week?
Recency bias can be a hell of a drug, fellas. While everyone flocks to pick up Juwan Johnson on waivers this week, I'll be streaming his Saints teammate and fellow tight end Adam Trautman against Carolina. Johnson got the glory in week 1, nabbing 2 touchdowns in the win over Green Bay, but it was actually Trautman who led the Saints in targets, commanding 6 looks from Jameis Winston while outsnapping Johnson 51-12. Trautman rarely leaves the field, and for good reason. He was Pro Football Focus's top-rated run blocker out of 76 qualified tight ends in 2020. With Jared Cook, now with the Chargers, ahead of him on the depth chart, Trautman didn't see much receiving work last season, but he was excellent when called upon, converting 15 of his 16 targets for a ridiculous 94% catch rate. With Winston looking unstoppable, LASIK surgery really does wonders. I think we'll see Trautman have a big game Sunday against a Panthers team that allowed the 9th most fantasy points to opposing tight ends last season.
All right, Jordan, let's keep it going. Who are you putting on the stream team this week?
You guys are looking to stream 2 Saints. I'm looking to stream the defense that was decimated by those 2 Saints last week. I'm actually going to go with the Packers defense this week, and the reason why, they're playing the Lions. They need to have a huge bounce back effort this week, and I think that's really going to happen. I admittedly thought that the Packers were a good streaming option in week 1. I thought that Winston would kind of be that turnover machine that we've seen over the years. Little did I know that he would tear them apart. But week 2 offers a completely fresh slate for the Packers, and the Lions are definitely a turnover-prone team, a mistake-prone team with Jared Goff running the show. He did have a pick six in week one, and if the 49ers hadn't completely buckled and let up 33 points all in all, most of them down the stretch when they had a big lead, they would have had a much better day. They still had 11 fantasy points. Look for a strong bounce-back effort in week two from the Packers against that Lions offense.
Good stuff, Jordan. Let's keep it going with our stealthy starts for week two. And I'm just going to say you should probably listen. I remember somebody telling you about Antonio Brown last week, had a pretty good week one. And I'm going to go with my breakout pick from before the season, Jamar Chase. Don't believe everything you read on Twitter. Yes, he dropped some balls in training camp, yada, yada. 5 catches, 101 yards, and a touchdown in his first game back with Joe Burrow playing in Cincy. Jamar Chase is going to be that breakout player this season, and he's only started in 33% of leagues right now. He is going to be a big-time player this season. Buy in on Jamar Chase. He's my pick for this week. Jordan, who's your stealthy start this week?
I'm going to go with another young wide receiver, a rookie last year, and this year he's a second-year stud, Chase Claypool of the Pittsburgh Steelers. He's going up against the Las Vegas Raiders, only started in around 38% of ESPN leagues. And look, the Raiders just played on Monday Night Football, where both Sammy Watkins and Marquise Brown had good fantasy days against them. You're not going to see too many games where the Ravens passing offense produces two good wide receivers in terms of their fantasy value, but that's what the Raiders can allow. They're susceptible to the big play. They're susceptible to the shootout. I think that we could see somewhat of a shootout if Derek Carr can play a little bit better when the Steelers and the Raiders take each other on in week two. And I think that Claypool is a good DFS play. He didn't have the best performance in week one. He actually trailed Deontay Johnson and Smith-Schuster in targets. He only had 5, but he's easily the most explosive of the bunch. And I also think that's why he's a stealthy start. Week two could be the one where he really explodes and outperforms his fellow wide receivers.
Jesse, finish this off. Who's your stealthy start for this week?
Well, after a bit of an underwhelming debut, I imagine a lot of people will be sleeping on Broncos running back Javonte Williams this week. And they'll be making a big mistake. Volume shouldn't be an issue for Williams, who saw plenty of work in the opener, pacing the Broncos' backfield with 15 touches in week one. Teammate Melvin Gordon won the yardage battle over Williams, but the bulk of his yards came on a single play. Admittedly, 5 of Williams' carries came with the game in hand in the fourth quarter, though we should see similar usage Sunday against a Jaguars team riding a 16-game losing streak dating back to last season. Denver just lost its top receiver, Jerry Jeudy, to a high ankle sprain, giving them all the more reason to pound the rock against Jacksonville. Only 3 teams, the Falcons, Packers, and Raiders, allowed more rushing yards than the Jaguars in week one. With that in mind, Williams, who finished with the 6th most rushing yards in college football while setting a school record for touchdowns at UNC last season, should be starting in far more than 20% of ESPN leagues.
Good stuff, boys. Week 2 of the Odyssey Sports Fantasy Football Show, along with Jordan Cohn and Jesse Pantusco. I'm Chris Sema. Enjoy the football this weekend.